Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott's Selections here for Wednesday, December 2nd. Before getting today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up going 1-1. We ended up winning the play of the day in the Central Michigan FIU matchup as we had the over 158.5, which was available on DraftKings at -109. One ended up climbing to around 160 or so. I thought it would climb to around 161, 162. It did briefly, had a little bit of buyback on the under, but that did not matter. First half had a 71 points, which means he needed about 88 in the second half. Might cause some people to worry. Didn't cause me to worry. They ended up scoring 101 points combined in the second half. This game ended up going way over, got into the 160s and even the 170s. We picked up a nice, easy winner there. Then we ended up giving out a play in the primetime matchup in the joint show with Scott Steen, as I ended up giving out Kansas -4 at -113 on Bet Online. And unfortunately, after only scoring about 7 points in the first 12 minutes of the game, Kansas rallied from behind and won, but they only won by 3. So they did not cover the spread. Pretty unfortunate there. Pretty tough break, especially since Kansas got a rebound. Kentucky didn't foul, and Kansas also had a shot at a wide-open dunk to end the game, but unfortunately that came after the buzzer, so they only won by 3. So I ended up going 1-1, basically broke even, but it's kind of unfortunate because I was hoping for a nice 2-0 day. Either way, though, we're going to be looking for another college basketball winner here on the play of the day. It's going to be on a matchup that's even more obscure than the Central Michigan and FIU matchup from yesterday. It's going to be on a matchup between Eastern Kentucky and South Carolina Upstate, and that matchup will be taking place tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for the play of the day here, we're going to be taking Eastern Kentucky on the road at -3.5. It's available on FanDuel at -114. A time of recording of 1:19 a.m. Eastern time. Now, a couple reasons why I like Eastern Kentucky in this spot. First of all, Eastern Kentucky is 2-1 so far this season. They ended up beating North Florida and Charleston Southern at home, each by double digits. They have looked good so far. Then they had their first real test. They ended up playing against Xavier on the road. Xavier, if you remember, beat Oakland in the first game of the season by about 50, and they've always been really solid at home. Eastern Kentucky fell behind very early by double digits. However, they did rally. They ended up making it to overtime. They lost in overtime by 3, but if you're able to be undefeated at home and then take Xavier to overtime on the road, despite being 16.5-point underdogs, I think that the Colonels are very underrated right now in the marketplace and undervalued. And I do think that this team has been pretty impressive, and people have not really realized. Eastern Kentucky has a lot of experience. They bring back 4 starters from last year's team. They also bring back their head coach, A.W. Hamilton, who, if you don't know, ended up winning Conference Coach of the Year last year. So they do have a very solid coach, and they bring back a bunch of starters from last year's team who ended up finishing 4th in the conference, which was pretty impressive, considering the fact that this team had no expectations going into last year. They are also very, very deep. Eastern Kentucky so far this season through 3 games has 5 players who are averaging double-digit points per game. Forward Trey King is the main weapon on this offense, as he is currently averaging a team-high 18.3 points per game, along with 10.3 rebounds per game. But anytime you have 5 players averaging double digits, this team can score in bunches, and I do think that this team will use their depth against Upstate, who has a very underwhelming defense. Plus, Eastern Kentucky is also shooting 80% from the free throw line. So this team is really good at taking advantage of opportunities from the charity stripe, which should pay off, especially when you're taking favorites on the road. You want teams that can ice games late, and Eastern Kentucky is able to do so. Now, switching gears, talking a little bit about South Carolina Upstate. They are currently 0-2. Now, the last game they played wasn't fully their fault, as they ended up playing Furman on the road, ended up losing by 28 points, which is not ideal. But the main reason why I don't like this Upstate team is because of the opener. In the season opener, they were at home, and they played against a Division II team in South Wesleyan. So South Wesleyan, a Division II team, and Upstate lost outright by 10 points. They gave up 82 points in the process. If you're 0-2 and you lost by 28 points to an actual opponent in Furman, and you got embarrassed at home by a D2 team, I'm not sure how you're only getting 3.5 here against an Eastern Kentucky team that has looked pretty sharp so far this season. Upstate struggles in several areas, particularly free throw shooting and rebounding. Upstate, for example, is only shooting 54.5% from the foul line. So just for the discrepancy there, Eastern Kentucky is shooting 80%. South Carolina Upstate shooting 54.5%. I expect a huge discrepancy at the foul line, and I think that Eastern Kentucky will take advantage of their free opportunities, whereas Upstate might leave a lot of points left off the scoreboard. Plus, there is a huge rebounding advantage for Eastern Kentucky in this matchup, as Eastern Kentucky is averaging 10 more rebounds per game. So I do think that Upstate has a huge uphill battle here in this matchup. They're against a very experienced team that has looked sharp so far this season. They've struggled in their own right, whether it's home or on the road. This team can't shoot free throws, and they also are awful on the boards. So I think that Eastern Kentucky should be able to win this game pretty handily. Now, looking at the numbers so far for the spread, it's currently at 3.5 on FanDuel. However, this line has started to go to 4 in most places. For example, you can find this line at 4 on Bet Online. It's also available on at 4 at other books. I know FoxBet currently doesn't have a lineup. They have a money lineup instead, but that line will be around 4. I do think this line will close closer to 5, 5.5, something like that. I really don't see much Upstate money after they got absolutely embarrassed in the first 2 games of the season. Eastern Kentucky's coming into this game fresh off of an overtime loss against Xavier, where they were 16.5-point underdogs. So for that reason, I think that Eastern Kentucky is the better team, and they should be able to showcase that. And I do think that they will close as a bigger favorite. So I do like the line right now at 3.5. So the play of the day, once again, here for Wednesday, December 2nd, is going to be on Eastern Kentucky minus 3.5. It's available on FanDuel at minus 114. The time recording of 1:23 a.m. Eastern Time. That's been the Solomon Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.